closers and contractors to episode 9 of the Profits for Sanity podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Caminata, CEO of Grosso University, the industry-leading sales training group. In the world of business, we firmly believe that volume is for vanity and profit is for sanity. And as you already know, it's the mission of this podcast to bring on the brightest minds in the home improvement industry that can educate you how to grow and scale a more profitable business. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Vic Sun, who's the CEO of Channel Automation, the only communication solution for rehash, sales, recruiting, and much more that can increase your conversion by over 600%. Vic is an absolute expert when it comes to optimizing your business with AI. So get ready to take lots of notes, get your popcorn ready. This is going to be a good one. Vic, I first want to thank you, of course, for flying all the way to Wisconsin for this podcast here. I'm sure your arms are tired. You want to tell everyone where you live?
I live in LA. I live in Los Angeles. Yeah.
So it's definitely not like a typical guest that may live in Wisconsin conveniently and it's just an hour drive. So really traveling all the way across the country. So we want to thank you for this. And of course, on behalf of Grosso University, we really want to thank you for the partnership. Yeah. We're really excited about stuff we're going to create with you guys in the future.
No, I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for including me. Very honored as well. And of course, we partner with only the best. We really handpick those things. And so, very honored and excited to be here.
Absolutely. We feel the same. So if you don't mind, people that maybe have never heard of Vic Sun before, can you just share a little bit about your background in the home improvement industry and ultimately how you became the CEO of Channel Auto?
Yeah, well, I started in home improvement in about 2008, really just a bit before the bubble. I was working, mostly in technology, building technology for a lot of companies. Really focused on contact centers and marketing, so MarkTech, before even that was a big deal. And so worked with companies like Reborn, helped them grow. Reborn now is owned by Renovo. I was part of groups that we co-founded, like Big 12 group where there was West Shore and DeBella and Tundraland and Paramount and all kinds of
some
companies.
Small names people may have heard of.
Exactly. and now companies like Renewal by Andersen are part of those. And back in 2020, just after many years of being an executive and working in these boards, I decided to that I just got sick and tired of the Frankenstein of apps out there for communication and especially for lead conversion, sales conversion. So I said there must be one singular app that everybody can use it. It talks to every specific channel. And so I invested pretty much a lot, bootstrapped everything, and in 2022 we started doing testing. We were very lucky that we had companies like Jacuzzi and Renewal, big manufacturers that knew about my successes, growing many companies that were either purchased by private equity, and they gave us a chance. And now here we are. We're pacing to do about 300, 400 companies in home services alone by next year. We do other industries, but home services is my first love, of course.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, first of all, on your explosive growth, especially for a startup. I mean, it's a very competitive industry now, and of course there's millions of AI companies seem to be coming out of the woodwork, so very, very competitive, although what you have is very specific and unique, and obviously we'll dive deeper more into what your product and service can offer companies and how it really sets itself apart. But I just want to go back, even before 2008, were you always like really big into technology as a young kid? Did you have a genuine passion for it? And how did that origin of that passion for technology start, even before you got into the industry?
Yeah, I think, I went to UCLA for engineering and I wanted to go into computer science, but I wasn't good enough. So I just went to engineering instead. And then from there, I went to London School of Economics for behavioral economics and management. And then when I came back here, there was this thing that people were using as a buzzword, AI, and I started to say, I wanted to take courses on that, machine learning at Caltech. And so I've really been, even when I was a kid, love video games. Even when we were text message, I would look at the shortcuts and how to do things much shorter than others. And when I started into home services, I found out that everything was done manually. Yeah. From contracts to you have to go and call the customer and confirm that verbally and set the appointment. And so I was always tweaking things here and there. Well, can we send them, we were sending text messages way before it was fashionable, and emails and those sort of things. But yeah, I think it's just something that I'm not the kind of person, I think, that a lot of the companies that have shown now, like they kind of have private equity or backing, but they've never really spoken to a customer or knocked on a door.
Yeah.
Like I did that. I actually went and knocked on doors as a canvasser, right? I've gone in and worked at a call center because I wanted to know what those pain points were. I've actually sold projects, windows, with Magic Windows. So I know how to, the United Inches and how to do those things. So I really have a passion for this particular industry, but in specifically really creating better efficiency and effectiveness.
Yeah, it seems to me like you also have a passion just because you've been on all sides of the equation, from the marketing side to the sales side, and you've seen just how horrible a lot of homeowners are treated too. You have a genuine passion for making the customer journey a lot more pleasant, because it is like wild, wild west out there. And to your point, early in your career, the home improvement industry was always like the old horse and buggy, like decades behind. I mean, when I first got in the industry in 2010, I was, doing a 3-ring binder presentation and chicken scratch. I have the worst penmanship too. Handwriting every agreement, and if production could translate that, good for them, but it was 50-50 chance. So a lot of inefficiencies, and of course, Lord knows there's still a ton of inefficiencies today. But really, I mean, a lot of people are getting on the AI bandwagon today. Of course, it's hard to avoid, but you've been really focused on this for many, many years. So having that deep-rooted understanding into AI, machine learning, and of course, now trying to create that one app, that one solution that can handle all their communication needs. And of course, you've been able to attract some massive companies. Of course, Long Home, you got the Renewity Group, you got Expo Home. I guess for a startup that's relatively new, I guess, what do you feel when you get in front of big companies like this? What do you feel it is about your specific suite of solutions, so to speak, that really stands out that's like, it really makes these large companies want to take advantage of it right away?
Yeah. Well, one, I think we really modeled the solution towards Salesforce, because Salesforce is the big banana out there, right, for CRMs and other things. And so the issue with Salesforce, and the people are always concerned with this, is the cost, right? There's two big costs. One is setting it up and getting it going and testing it and proving it out. And then you've got the administrative cost, which is you have to have people who know Apex code and the system, and that and alone can be 6 figures, right? I mean, places in California, a Salesforce administrator, 150, 180, and this is one person.
Yep.
So that you can get your Salesforce situation going. I don't know how much it is in the rest of the country, but in California, it's like that's the starting point.
Yep.
So, we modeled it. So we have everything that Salesforce has. You just don't pay for Salesforce costs, but that's still not as good as a call to action for a lot of home services companies, because Salesforce is very complex. And so we modeled it where really what people are looking for is a service. So one of the things that's very different with channel automation is we have white glove service that's built in, that's no cost.
Yeah.
So we meet with customers 4 times a month. Like every week we'll meet with them to improve the system, to calibrate. People miss out on the simplest things. Is like, you can have a really nice complex system with all these features, but if you have people in your team that don't know how to use it, like contact center managers and marketing managers, typically they're good at what they do, but they don't, like, if you start telling them like machine learning or AI, or like, they just have no chance of putting that thing together.
Yeah.
So that'll just be a barrier. So I think between us modeling it, so that you can have everything that you're looking for, and a service which is amazing. That's what most customers actually want. The big companies are mostly impressed with us because they see the technology, say, great. That's why I've never had those, now I do.
Yeah.
But what really makes them big fans is the fact that we're always there for them. Like, you can contact us today and you'll get a response today within the next 2 hours, sometimes within the first 5 minutes. And that's what I've been focused on a lot, is providing better service to customers.
Well, that's good, because for one reason or the other, it seems like communication-based companies are the hardest to get a hold of. I don't know why that is. Anytime they have like communications in the name, a lot of times it's like you can never get a hold of them. And you had mentioned like vetting out partners and stuff like that, and the same thing for us, because we talk to numerous AI companies that have, I don't want to compare it to what you have, but in the AI field, for like communication, lead handling, stuff like that. And that's a big thing for us, is do you truly service these clients? Because I've heard many horror stories where people are given a technology or a product or service, and then they're kind of left high and dry to like figure shit out on their own, and then they have a horrible experience and they end up having to go elsewhere. So the fact that, you know, from the very beginning we saw that you really service your clients, make sure that they're not just getting a new technology that's going to create new headaches. Like, this is designed to do the opposite. It's designed to make life easier for you, optimize your business. Of course, save you time and energy.
I gotta be honest. I mean, we create our own series of problems. Like, I think the usefulness of me being an engineer is that I know you're just trading one problem from another. But what's important is that you have the support behind it. You know, because in home services, as you know, with home, you know, you do a lot of sales training and you're the premier. When you work with those people who can afford your service, you know, and somebody, well, you can't afford not to have, you know, sales training, because that's the lifeblood, right? Yeah. But it's also, those owners are very demanding, but they're demanding only in the sense that they may not understand what you do or the technology. They want the results. Yeah. But once you produce the results, that's old news. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now they're looking for that. So I think coming from the industry, being able to have spoken, you know, as a practitioner in the contact center environment, having built this out with major companies, you know, and some of them compete with each other now because they're so big. But I know that the heart of that, you know, the marketing with the sales, I've gone in ride-alongs. Like, I've gone to driving 3-4 hours and then you have a no-show in there. Like, I know how that feels. And, you know, in between, you know, like getting your first appointment to the second appointment, and even with the installers, you know, understanding that there's a scarcity of installers here in the United States. Yep. And so you could sell as many jobs, but if you don't install them, there's no revenue. You see, I think that's what people are really buying with channel automation and our partnerships, where we highlight Grosso, because we understand their business, you know, from a practitioner standpoint and not from like a technology standpoint. Because that could be very daunting to a lot of people in home services, I think.
That's a big passion for us, because, you know, I go to a lot of home improvement shows and seminars, and even some of the biggest ones you can name. And Lord knows there's boatloads of content on sales and marketing. And of course, that's near and dear to our hearts. We love sales and marketing, but ultimately you can sell all you want. But if it's not installed and collected upon, you're kind of wasting your time. You're like, where do you make your money? Obviously, sale has to be made, but it also has to be installed and collected. So it's really important for us, like when we're hosting events, that we also touch on the back end of the business. How do we streamline our production operations departments? Often it's looked at as like the redheaded stepchild, but there's so many things companies can do to optimize their production, their installs, make sure that customer experience, that fantasy that was promised by the salesperson at the kitchen table, is being delivered upon, of course, by the installers, by the crews.
Installers is definitely a big problem in the country. Yeah. And people who really know and talk about those things. And for years I've spoken about the scarcity of labor. And I said, if there was a company that could control labor, they'd put out their competition lickety split. Yeah. You know, but it's really interesting how even some of the big players, you know, in home services, this eludes them. Yeah. You know, for me, if I were at the top of the home services, whether it's windows or doors or bathrooms or roofing or solar, I would probably overpay just to eat up all the labor and put my competitor so that they don't have anybody installing.
Yeah, and you see that too, where people are trying to outbid their competition deliberately to basically poach crews. Yeah. But the thing I'm seeing from some big companies, which is really brilliant, is companies having their own internal installation training and apprenticeship programs, which if you're watching this and you're having a hard time acquiring labor, that's somewhere I recommend you start exploring and starting to get this built out, because if you can kind of, you know, create your own internal labor force, because of course there is a lot of demand. The thing I find that's interesting is this industry is not talked about in school. Like, most people I interview on this podcast stumbled upon this industry by accident. It wasn't necessarily part of their life plan. But the thing is like, once people see the opportunity that's available, whether it be in marketing, sales, installation, I mean, many of these installers are making well over 6 figures a year, great benefits, depending on which company they work for. But there's a big pool of people that would still be very intrigued by this if you have the right training, if you have the benefits that you can offer your employees, to have that internal where you can kind of groom and train. And I got a handful of clients that I work with closely that since they built out their own internal install labor training and these apprenticeship programs, now their production is in lockstep with sales. And as their sales grows, they can continue to kind of be more self-sufficient that way.
Yeah, that's a great idea. In fact, I think, I'm not sure, does Grosso offer sales, the installation training?
We don't, but I actually have owners of businesses that we work with that for a minimal fee, you can actually fly installers out to their location and they can actually get on the job training and coaching to become window installers, bath installers. We have limited products right now, but that's something I want to build out over time.
Yeah, that would be great for Grosso University. And of course, for me, I think if there was a organization that trained, I think in the United States especially, a lot of people are getting into technology and AI and machine learning and computer science and digital fields, but I think there's a real love for people who work with their hands, and it's just I think it's a little sad that there's not a premier university that offers for people to actually have a career.
It's funny you said that, because
installation.
That has been a dream of mine, where Grosso University over time, and I don't want to get too far off track here, but we literally have brick and mortar locations scattered throughout the country, in hub cities, where people can literally come in and get world-class training on marketing, sales, installation, whatever it is. And we basically promote, we have factory trained or Grosso University certified installers, canvassers, sales professionals, call center representatives that we can place into people's businesses with a performance guarantee, but it's like a full-blown university.
And you know what, dude, like you could riff on that and say afterwards they're guaranteed work. Yeah. Because in this industry, I don't think there's, between contact centers, I mean, we automate a lot of these stuff to actually, for positions that are numerous. For example, contact center marketers, canvassers, promoters, sales, and installers, they're usually the same job description and same pay. So our system allows for video technology. So we have a lot of window companies, very big ones, and bath companies that use our technology to hire, especially for places like Florida or California or New Mexico and Texas. There's a lot of Spanish speakers. And so their recruiters, like they have to hire a recruiter has to make phone calls. Our system will actually connect with these people, provide videos, and just pressing buttons, and they all is Spanish, Spanish and English. Nice. And they're able to hire 5 times more because they're able to bring those people in. I think what's interesting is for the installation is if you can clock that and you can guarantee the work and you could show them how wonderful it is to be somebody working with your hands. I mean, I think it would be so much. It was so good for our country.
I saw a demand for that a long time ago because I forget what year it was where the supply chain was just all jacked. Was it 2021? It was just so bad. And here I am trying to put on these high energy, motivational, inspirational sales training events for companies. Yeah. And the sales team, literally in the middle of the training, they asked me, well, Dominic, this all sounds great, but we're already like 9 months behind on our install. Like, how are we supposed to get motivated to sell more?
We can't get paid in our commissions.
So I'm like, that's a great point. So like several years ago, I started aligning myself with people that could provide coaching and consulting on the back end of the business, how to streamline operations, how to attract new crews, how to make sure they're properly trained and certified. Yeah. So that's been something we've been working on for many years, but this is definitely an area we want to expand.
Yeah.
So I want to backpedal a little bit, and this is going to sound like a random question, but I always like, especially you've been at this for a while in AI and machine learning, how do you really define AI? Like, what is AI exactly? And I guess, what do you say to those people that say this is going to be more disruptive than the internet? Like, so when people are throwing comments out there, and I don't have any opinion, I literally am very ignorant on the subject, but how would you define AI, especially like modern day artificial intelligence? And then do you look at this as being as disruptive as the internet or more disruptive over time?
I don't know if it's disruptive. I think I carry it forward to it's probably, there's a lot of positives, a lot of advantages. Yeah. It's also the most dangerous technology to date. And it's because there's no such thing as artificial, this is a buzzword, but it's a machine learning really. That's the more I would say mainstream word is artificial intelligence, but for audience,
Wasn't that the original definition of it? People used to call it machine intelligence, like
Yeah.
way back when, like in the 1950s or something like
I mean,
that.
I used to read Isaac Asimov books for all the nerds out there way back. And so if you really want to learn about robotics and cybernetics, and you'd be reading those as a kid, you know what I mean? But for our industry in home services, artificial intelligence, what it really means is that it provides automation beyond what's being programmed by a human. So you see there's an advantage there because now it learns based on its own way of doing things, right? And it will do things outside of what you consider as here's the path or here's the language. So there's a lot of benefits to that because you're like, oh, great. Now I can send a message, and this used to work, but it was only working 30% of the time. Oh, now it's working 35% of the time. That's great because I didn't think about that, right? But there's also a danger because I would say most people don't understand how we came up with it.
Yeah.
So now people say, well, it's the advantage, but humans won't learn from that. You see, the machine, it will come up with those other strategies, with the actual messaging, and glean from millions or billions of things. But the human never really learns from how it does it.
Right.
So the danger there is, over time, it will pinpoint weaknesses that, for in marketing, for example, like this is profits, right? So marketing can either be your savior or it's the thing that crucifies you, right, as a business owner. Well, guess what? With the AI, it can start to learn behaviors of people. It can tell, hey, this person right here is shopping on Facebook, so maybe I should hit you up on Facebook instead of text or calls. If we have metadata, meaning you shop for these certain things, or here's your credit score, or you're a homeowner, or you live in this zip code, or here's your gender, or this is your educational status, because our system can get enhanced data. So we can actually tell your education. We can tell where you live. We can tell what kind of cell phone you use. Okay, machine can go and start figuring out what you like and start peppering you with the things that you like. Now there are some things that you like that might be personal. Now think about how marketing can use that. They can start showing you things that you may be addicted to. Right? And it keeps doing it at times because it learns, oh, you're not responding at this time. Maybe you're doing this time. So to the business owner, there's a huge lift in what they do, but there's no real learning for them. So it's hard for them to control it because in the first place, it is not them that's programming it. So I think that's, for us, it's not, I don't think it's disruptive. I would just go and say, at the hands of the people who can utilize it, and it can be there's a lot of advantages, but it could also be very dangerous, and in a more business kind of way, it could replace, or it could highlight. I'm just going to use this word replace, but it would highlight the things that somebody in your team isn't really doing. Like why isn't my contact center manager doing that? How come the machine figured that out? Or my marketing manager is basically just, or my VP of marketing is really just a budget person. He was just, or he or she was just going and figuring out the lead sources and what was converting. The machine was able to figure out how to optimize this particular lead source in this way. So now it's dangerous because it might put doubt in the minds of owners, like, oh, my people, they're not really they're not really built to do these things. So, and they will never understand it because it's not their forte.
It's interesting because, of course, a lot of things are evolving to more data-driven decisions now, right? In this industry more than ever. Instead of just shooting from the hip on emotion, it's actually, people are trying to make more calculated data-driven decisions, especially people leveraging AI. And I actually see a lot of companies now that are hiring data analysts that just look at all the data and they make decisions, again, putting all the emotion and bias aside, just based on what the data says. And some companies bringing in data analysts, I've heard them lowering their cost per lead by like $200 a lead, like within a few months, having a data analyst come in and translate all this data and just look at the numbers. But I just wanted to ask you, what do you feel are some of the measurable cost benefits or savings a company could realize by having the right AI solution? Something, in the realm of what you offer, where it's like, if you do it right, you implement this technology the right way, and of course, align yourself with the right company like Channel Auto. What are some of the immediate cost savings or immediate return on investment that you think people could realize with AI used properly?
I would say number one is labor cost. So positions like contact center, you'll optimize that. So people always say, "Oh, I'm afraid I don't like it when we're replacing people." Well, that sentence is not complete. It's replacing labor that wasn't efficient in the first place, and in some cases, those are people who are suffering. My first job at UCLA was in a boiler room, and that's why I have a particular affinity for call centers. And the reason behind that was because when I was there, I was like, I need a job. My scholarship wasn't going to cover, going to a bar or meeting girls or something like that. Yeah. And so somebody in one of my math classes basically said, you should work in a call center to train you how to speak to people. And so I did. And so contact center reps, there's the people who are really good and some of them are in the middle. But then you've got the tragedy of 300% turnover that a lot of companies get. And that's just the way they've been doing business that way for 10, 20 years, big companies. Yeah. So you're just using that. So if you had 100 call center reps and there's 20 to 30% that were inefficient, now you're still at 70, but the 20, 30, you can put that somewhere else, right? And the machine or in AI will now take over those positions. People don't realize in contact centers, it's when they speak to somebody, yes, but here's the thing. On text, email, chat, they're not really using their brains and they're not really learning from anything because guess what? They're trained on a script. So that means they don't even have the leverage to go and type down what they've learned. They have to use a script. So why would you pay somebody $22 an hour or whatever, you're spending to basically send a message that the machine can do, and the machine can figure out when to send it, how to go and use the language better than the person could. Sales positions, I think it's going to be tough to places, but AI can enhance what a sales rep can do. From nudging the customer before the appointment to thanking them afterwards, right?
Yeah, I just think at the next level of preparation too, like the amount of information a sales rep can acquire in advance to really get a strategy dialed in and communication style and be that chameleon so he can speak their language or relate to that homeowner. So it definitely helps them a lot.
Our system, so we did this for recruiting. We actually parse through datas of resumes and then we highlight the top skills. And the AI will do this in a recruiter. Now, so think again, labor. Yeah. You know how much a recruiter costs? A good one, $60,000 to $80,000 a year. Yeah. And that person's job is to read resumes, make phone calls, but they make human decisions. And if they read a resume and they think, looks good, but I don't like that name, Right. The business owner doesn't know this, right? The machine doesn't make those mistakes. They basically go through you. You say, well, you're looking for the best candidate for this position. And so it can be applied. So labor is one of the biggest things that AI will help with. I think that the number two thing is really enjoyability of the customer experience. There's this obsession with speed to lead in this industry, which I get. Like you get a lead, you need to communicate with them.
Yeah. What about the quality of the experience?
Right. I got that. But there's this really good saying. I didn't come up with it, but with advertisers they say, crap that arrives at the speed of light is still crap when it gets there. Yeah. Right. I believe Dave Trott or Rory Sutherland quoted those things. But like you could send something very, very fast and call them 20 times within 5 minutes, and people will be like, well, how would you feel? Like,
that would be huge. That would be really frustrating as a consumer.
And you're a business owner, you're successful, you're working, so you're a homeowner. So let's say your ideal customer profile. Well, you're doing a podcast right now. Will 20 calls and 15 text messages like you did 5 minutes ago. If you filled out a form, if you were scheduling an appointment, I heard you scheduling. Would that help you now?
No.
No. So there's number one, there's no awareness. You're not, your phone's away. You put in airplane mode. Number two, there's no consideration. Yeah. And so time has passed. Once we finish the podcast, you edit, you do all the things, and then you probably those emails and those texts might be buried for like another, because there's another 5 or 6 or 10 other ones that you've gotten. Yeah. So that's the part right there that I feel it's not profits, right? Well, the way to profits is to make the customer's experience more enjoyable. I'll prove this point in just one thing, okay? When you go on a cruise, and the cruise is on a boat, like, so you go from point A to point B, okay? When you're enjoying yourself, like really enjoying yourself, do you go and think, man, I'm going to go to Cancun. I wish from Florida to Cancun or Mexico to Cancun, whatever, Texas to Cancun, like I get there as fast as I can. No. Because when people are enjoying themselves, they actually want things slowed down. Yeah. That's a simple human truth. And with people who claim like, oh, AI, machine learning, all of these other things that they're doing, or speed to lead, or doing this, what they don't realize is you're just working for efficiency. So what we want to do is cover efficiency with the automations and the AI with effectiveness. Yep. Just like with you can't get, and big fan of Grosso, so I know this stuff, like it's like the master for presentation. Yeah. I mean, you can speed along the whole thing and say every single thing in that presentation, but if you don't do a masterful presentation, well, guess what? You just went through information and it's not going to get that persuasiveness. Yeah. And I think that's the 2 key things that I'm hoping with the things that we're doing now, and we're being very successful, is that people start to acclimatize to it. It's a shift in their mindset from I've got to control people, like physically, to I now have an ally in an AI that supports my people, that does better for them, that does some of the work for them. And on the other side is, instead of more leads, and now I just got to think about how do I make the customer experience better? Yeah. Because people pay through the nose for those things. Like that's why people have first class in an airplane and economy, and people pay more for seats and maybe the extra drink, before you fly, and being able to board. Why? Because when they enjoy themselves, and people don't care about the time at that point. And I think that's where I think the 2 biggest things for profits, it's that shift in the mindset of business owners.
Yeah, and what I've heard from actually some business owners is, instead of the mindset of, oh, AI is going to replace my team, it's no, I got 4, let's say it's a smaller company, I got 4 very talented call center representatives, but now they can do the production of 10. And it actually makes their job and their livelihood more enjoyable, because AI can kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes to ensure that they're spending more of their precious time at work talking to qualified customers that actually define, an actual real prospect that has a need, want, or desire for that product or service, instead of just willy-nilly cold calling, or getting the phone hung up on them all day long and trying to manually send text messages out. AI can do a lot of the heavy lifting, so that in itself can help with the enjoyment of the employee, can help reduce turnover, and improve the production of that staff. So maybe you don't need a call center of 150, maybe you could do it with 25 or 30. That's right. And still do the production. Yeah.
And it's same thing for recruiting, for getting reviews. You don't have to call them anymore. And even in profits,
getting reviews too, that's a huge one.
Yeah. We automate those. We were competing against Podium for a while there, and we really, I'm a big idol of Podium and what they've done. Huge Silicon Valley darling. Yeah. We work with a lot of private equity and venture capitalists, and they love those, and so we were modeling a lot of those in automation, so we can actually do that. And I think to your point with the AI, I think it's being able to understand it. You won't understand everything about it. That's number one. I think that will help you. With the terms of the profits, I think now it's getting you to actually look at all the leads in your system that aren't new. Many companies are just so addicted to buying leads, and they think, oh, there's more lead sources. That's true if you are expanding in different states or different territories. But if you're in this, let's say we're in Wisconsin, in Madison, or Windsor, right? There's only a certain amount of homes there.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't get more leads.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? That's
Yeah.
You can get more leads if you're selling them a different product,
Yeah.
or a different service, or if you're expanding your territory. But this whole concept of I can buy more leads if I'm just in these territories is kind of asinine. So really, what you should think about is all those unconverted ones. So with our system, for example, we have a funny term for it internally. We call it golden garbage. So we turn your garbage into gold. Somebody coined that in our team. And really what the AI will do is behave like your call center rep, only much more advanced, will not take days off, will follow what you ask it to do, will continue to learn, and it will go through hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of leads and follow it. Now, the only cost you have there now is just the person who's controlling channel automation. So if you think about that, you went from, well, now I have to hire 10 people to go through like 50,000 leads. No, you need one person who can behave to train their little pet. I mean, you had a beautiful dog. You trained, like if he didn't do something good in the beginning, you're not just going to give him away or fire him.
Exactly.
Right? It's the same thing for the AI. And I think that's what's useful and exciting about it now. There are people who love it, people who want to do it. It's like having a pet. It's going to crap somewhere and pee somewhere and make mistakes. You just don't give it away, though. You know what I mean? You go, okay, don't do that again. Here, we're going to keep training. And as long as you're doing that, I think the profits, our customers are experiencing close to at the top echelon, over close to 200% increase in their production. Okay. And in the smaller parts of it, 20 to 30%, which is still pretty big. And that's not them adding any one person to their team.
Hey closers, it's Dan Coombsbury from Grosso University. I'm the sales trainer who runs our monthly Sales Academy Masterclass, where we walk you through our 11-step process for in-home sales in the home improvement industry. This process is perfect for salespeople of any level of experience, whether you're green coming right into the field or you've been doing this for 30 years. We promise you that you're going to learn something that you can take out that day and help you close business. From my personal experience, I know that many homeowners that you talk to are looking to work with a credible expert who is knowledgeable, but they don't like being sold. The beautiful part about this process is it can be tailored for any personality type, any problem you may run into, and we're going to go through this in such a detail-oriented manner that you'll be prepared for any situation. From walking up and knocking on the door all the way through buttoning up the deal, we will teach you the nuanced art form that is one-call closing. This is a skill set that helped me make multiple six-figure income for years and years, and now, because I get to sit on this side of the camera, I get to pass that skill set along to you. I hope you're up to the task, because I'll tell you, this is a 145-page book that we train over a 2-week span. It is coupled with our 11-part video series that's broken down so it's easy to digest. No matter what type of learner you are, we accommodate you. Now, at the end of our 2-week training process, you will have to pass a final exam, and it's not easy. You'll have to score at least an 85% on this final exam in order to become a certified sales warrior through the Grosso University program. And that's where the hard work begins. But if you're up to the task and you want to make life-changing money and cultivate a skill set that will permeate into all areas of your life, I invite you to join me in the Sales Academy Masterclass. We have classes that start on the second Monday of every month, and I look forward to seeing you in class. And as always here at Grosso University, yes, you are a closer.
So there's obviously a lot of benefits to introducing AI, and I have some people that kind of just want to like dip their foot in instead of doing a full cannonball into AI. Some people are confident enough where like, I just want to go all in on this. I know some companies are like, okay, well, let's just start using AI for the after hours lead flow, after our staff is gone for the weekend or holidays or whatever, where it can still generate that 24/7, lead flow. And then it's crazy to me still today, and you know this as much as anybody, how many companies don't have any rehash department at all. And they're sitting on a gold mine, as you described, of 20, 30, 40,000, let's just say old or, whatever. They didn't buy, cancel saves, whatever. There's this huge database of low-hanging fruit or even previous customers that maybe would qualify for another product vertical, right? So I guess just speak to that briefly, rehash specifically. If anyone's looking to like finish the year at record pace or, take advantage of AI in a way that could make instant, profound improvements in their business, I guess how do you feel, especially with Rehash, AI can really shine and transform their bottom line?
Absolutely. I think one, with our partnership, we want to brand this as a Grosso University thing. I think there's something about it being branded, number one, because you're getting the quality. It's not some random Rehash program that we drum up, okay? So that's important. Number two, with regards to rehashes and revisits or inside sales or whatever you call it, with the automation and the AI, it's also the creativity of it. Now, a lot of companies just have an issue with creativity. Like they just don't know what to say to customers other than, we'll give you a discount. Or this is my favorite I see a lot is, how was that meeting? How did that meeting go? Like they have this little survey after the meeting. I'm like, well, how the hell do you think it went? I didn't buy from you.
I didn't buy.
You know what I mean? Like, and I get what they're trying to do, but this is where AI will shine because you can actually test, right? And that is actually a good segue into dipping your foot, in the water, is try it with leads that you haven't converted and appointments that you didn't sell, because that cost is sunk. That's a sunk cost. Right. And so if you use the AI, and the AI here will be you, like with your scripting, your language, your training programs, the AI will glean from this and learn this and then say, well, look, this is how I get that customer back to meeting with us and saying, I'll give you guys a second, third shot, come back to the home, let's talk about it, I'll share with you, these quotes. In fact, the AI can crawl. We have the system that can crawl through other quotes. Yeah. So, and companies aren't doing this. They're always like, well, how did our meeting go? I didn't buy from you. That's all you need to know. Or I'll ghost you because I'm like, why are you following up? I didn't buy from you. Yeah. Why don't you entice them with something like, if there was Grosso University branded scripting, and we go and say, look, we can offer you something. Do you have other quotes? You want to send it over? Yeah. And then you read through that, and then you kind of do your thing, and you says, hey, these are the gaps. And then you apply some of the masterful presentation into the language, nurturing, following up with the customer. Yeah. The difference is you don't need to have somebody and you're spending all this time and effort going through that. Or you could hire people that's Grosso University trained to go and start scheduling those appointments or trying to rehash it digitally, whatever the case may be. Yep. But if a business owner isn't getting 30 to, I would say, close to 40% of their revenue on rehashes, you are definitely not leveraging that correctly. 100%, because you have all the data. If you're using Leap, which we have a partnership with, and for example, you have a CPQ, how come every message that you send says, well, we can do business 10%? What if 10% doesn't matter to the customer? What if 5 would do? Yeah. You ever thought about that? Like me in companies, and they go, well, we tell the customer 10% off, and we'll, would that entice them to do that? I was like, so you're just going to give away 10% of your profits? Well,
especially increments of 5 or 10%. That just seems like a made up number in people's minds. They're just like, absolutely. 10%, like, it just seems like a scam.
And it's interesting because we work with, like, we are ingesting in technology like Faraday, where we have propensity scores. So the propensity scores tells us the likelihood of purchase, the likelihood of home ownership, the likelihood, like scoring, and it's free in our system now because of our partnerships. So think about this. If the propensity score for this customer was to buy, but they were buying at this number, let's say you gave them a quote of 10,000, and they're going to buy at 9,700 because $300 is all it takes. You're really going to give them 10%? You're going to give away $1,000 instead of $300? A human can't do that.
I'm really glad you're talking about this, because even for the in-home closer, I see a lot of sales methodologies that train no matter what, for, let's say it's an initial visit reward or whatever, it's always a 10%. And so they'll do like this 1 year to 30 day, like 20% off, and then they'll do an automatic 10% off no matter what the situation. And I hate that. So I think it should be up to the sales professional at that moment to determine what is going to be required to get these people to move forward. Because my view, and I think you would agree, the people shouldn't be buying from you because of a discount. They should be buying from you because they want to buy from you. Like, they're actually really excited and eager and have desire to want to own your product and work with you in your business. And they have high levels of trust and rapport and all this stuff. And all the discount is a small little incentive or a little nudge for that homeowner to move forward with something that they already intend on owning anyway. And instead, companies look at it like the discount has to be 10, 20, whatever percentage, because it has to be big enough where it makes them want to buy. It's like, the discount's not why they're buying from you.
This will blow your mind because you're talking about this and how systems like ours read through all kinds of data and utilize so hyper-personalize the message. Well, imagine now if, with the AI, it's communicating with your customer and saying, well, look, based on this information, it's not a discount that will make you move forward. Right. It's actually install time. Yeah. And so we tested this in California with a company that's competing with a Reborn, a company that I used to manage, and they went from $250,000 a year to $5 million in 2 years. Okay, a 10x return. How did they do it? Well, they're actually using AI, and when they're doing this, they're actually asking the customer, well, what is more valuable to you? And the system's picking that up and going and saying, well, you can give me a 10% off. Can you install this in a week? Yeah. And they have like these 1-day baths, 3-day baths. And it was like the company, whatever companies, they get multiple quotes. They said they could do it in 1 day, but they're not installing for another 3 months. Right. Now imagine a world where you could actually look at these values and then you could push it to production and say, look, we can sell this, but we have to push this install up a little bit because there's customers who are willing to wait. This one right here we can sell, and the machine can help identify those customers and provide that. And to my point is that it's just very tough to get more profits when you have this mindset that I'm just going to copy everything. And sometimes that's what I'm saying when you get in these groups, they talk to each other, but it's all groupthink. They're all trying to solve the same problem, but they're trying to solve it the same way. Which is really funny if you think about this. It is. It's like if you and I were have you ever been in an escape room? Yeah. Okay. And then let's say you and I couldn't figure out how to get through that door.
We're both coming up with the same solutions that don't work.
Exactly. The trick is to find somebody else. If there was somebody else in that room, or that's usually do it in groups, right? Yeah. Because you'd have the other people that you don't know, or they have their other way of thinking. I think AI is that piece right there. Right. I mean, we're talking about all the positives at this point, but if you are a business owner, you're looking at that and you're going, now I can have almost like a conciliary, a consultant for free who will actually give me these things, right? That's not the way I solve business problems, but it actually will help solve my problem. And it's just getting used to that. But definitely, I think rehash last bastion. If you're that right there, let's pretend you're a $10 million company. If you're not making $2 to $3 million of the $10 million on rehashes, you're definitely giving money away. You're just leaving money at the table, whatever you want to say. Yeah. You're not maximizing your profits 100%.
Now, with rehash, especially getting into 2025, so people where maybe it was a demo no sale or cancel save or whatever the situation, or it's just an old customer, previous customer, how's that going to work? Because is it like every 90 days they have to re-opt in now to communications in order to?
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but what I can tell you is that if you have the opt-ins and they continue to receive them, customers are okay with this, in perpetuity. Yeah. Right. Because it's very easy for them, especially on text. Even an email, it's kind of easy now. Just unsubscribe buttons on the top now because of Yahoo and Google doing this change in their in Outlook in the formatting. But on text, it's very easy. Just put stop and you're done. Okay. So this is very interesting. You talk about how rehash will help 2025. Well, next year there's stricter TCPA laws. Yeah. So buying new leads is going to be really, really tough next year. Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast,
a lot more expensive.
If you're not 100% focused on this problem right now and you haven't solved it yet, you should, because by next year, by January, you're going to have a tougher time getting new leads. Yeah. Okay, especially from lead generators. The people who have been collecting leads for years, they have an advantage because those people are still opted in. The people who have opted out can't do anything about that. You can't message them. But if you still have people in your system, the key now is creative. what you say to people.
Yeah.
This programmatic BS where you just go like, oh, another 10% off, or we have a winter sale, or we have a Christmas sale, or we have a New Year's event, mega sale, whatever. That doesn't work. What works for customers is, again, the hyper personalized messaging where they don't feel like you're just selling.
Yeah.
And again, the AI is going to help there. But really think about this. All those people that have those leads stacked up, if you have the opt-ins, you're good to go. Don't worry about the 90 or whatever, because they'll opt out. Now, if you're scrubbing your thing just like for us, the DNCs, then you won't be messaging those people.
Okay.
But if you have the opt-ins, now you need really good creative within the AI to nurture those customers. And it's actually really good because now those people will have a harder time connecting to contractors. So the whole TCPA thing has created a problem for both the homeowners and the contractors, because the homeowners now can only go one-to-one. So if I want multiple quotes and bids, I have to go to multiple forums or whatever the case may be, and I have to know who that is. But if you're already an existing contractor and you have leads in your area and you've done your job this year, then next year you should come up with a better way to communicate with them. Not, oh, how do I solve this to buy more leads? Well, you won't.
Yep, exactly.
Stop trying to solve the problem that you can't. Well, what you can control is what you do send and when you send it and which channel. You know, it boggles me how people go, oh man, it's like, there's not going to be enough leads to buy. I'm like, you ever heard of Facebook?
Yeah.
Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, Viber? Our system connects with all of those. You don't need to give passwords to your reps, but we can instantaneously message. And here's the wonderful thing about those things. Messaging those, unlimited, free, 24/7. Like I said, people try to solve problems, downstream. You should be going upstream. Stop solving the problem at the level it was created.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, turn it into an opportunity, because it will be for the people that are prepared and take advantage of, the tools and technologies that can help optimize their business. So
I think the part of it is, I really think that people should reconsider, if they really want to get to that point, is again the mindset and trying something. You mentioned something that's near and dear to me, where you say, well, people, maybe dip your toe in the water because people are afraid, right? So we've given some examples of that in this podcast, but I want to leave people with this, right? So there's two friends in the jungle, okay? Both of them are camping, in the jungle. Then one of them spots like a tiger coming right at them, running about, a mile away, but you could see it because it's a jungle. And so the guy starts like putting his shoes on. And so the other guy's like, what's going on? Well, there's a tiger coming at us. And it's like, and what are you doing? Like, I'm putting my shoes on. He was like, you can't outrun a tiger. What are you doing? And he was like, no, I don't have to outrun the tiger. I just have to outrun you.
yeah, oh man.
Right? And so
Yeah.
solving the problem upstream means trying something different that you've not thought of before. If you are averse to this, or if you think you need full control, I think you will never understand what AI really means. And this is the dangerous part that we talked about earlier. But again, if you want to leverage the profits while you have a chance until our AI masters take over, okay?
Yeah, AI masters.
Right? And you want to enjoy that, then
Become
you should...
self-aware.
Exactly. I think it's letting go of control.
Which a lot of owners obviously very, very much struggle with, right? And that's what one of the biggest fears is, letting go of control, because they're afraid that I unleash this AI uncontrollable monster on my company, and it's going to spiral out of control, and it's going to start destroying things. Obviously that's the wrong mindset. But
we're not at that point, and I think it's controlled. I think what really are afraid of is they don't understand when it succeeds. I think the likelihood of it destroying your business is so minuscule. I mean, I'm talking about, can I get killed by driving a car? Yeah, there's a possibility, there's a propensity for that. Yeah. Like riding an airplane. That's your chances of AI ruining your business. Okay? There's a high, but people forget, what's the likelihood of them succeeding? Very high.
Very high, yeah.
Here's the thing though, what you're really afraid of is, I wouldn't understand how it got there. So this is not a decision whether or not it's going to destroy your business, or it really isn't, because the higher likelihood of increasing your business and growing it. I mean, like you said, we grew so fast. And we're not going to be a startup any longer, and we're partnering with premier organizations like you. And it was because I wasn't afraid of what it could do. and to ruin my business or to ruin other people's business, because I wouldn't get into that business. I was more focused on, well, there's a 99.97% chance that it will do better for you. I'm not going to worry about the 0.03%.
Yeah, that's amazing. One thing about your service that was very much unique compared to any other service that I saw in terms of communication is how you integrate video into your messaging, into your communication. I haven't seen that from really anybody else. Can you just speak to that just briefly, like why video is so much better and more powerful, and why that big differentiator of channel automation really helps, really set yourself apart?
In particular, short videos.
Yep.
I mean, what's the biggest platform in social media? TikTok.
Because people are just digesting content at record levels.
They just want short, sweet, to the point, and done.
Yeah.
And I think this is where I talk about those simple human truths, right? Like speed to lead. Like if you're sending crap, and here's an exercise I would talk to the audiences who are listening to you, to this podcast is, go ahead and just test it. Go and put your name on one of the lead forms from 5 or 6 of your competitors. Then you know what your messages should be.
Yeah.
Now go put them side by side and then see how unique you really are.
Yeah, and that's such a great exercise, by the way. So,
right,
and those of you watching, do that right away. That's
right,
a very eye-opening experience.
Yeah, because you'll just go and like, oh my God, I'm doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, how can you stand out? With videos, we went through behavioral scientists and economists and psychologists, and we found something really simple. In the U.S., people would rather play a video than read. That's sad.
Yeah,
but
it's reality.
But this is what I was talking about, how AI would leverage that, because it would basically take advantage of what they know about people. But the reality is, you don't need AI to know that people would rather press play on your phone without links, and that's what we do. We don't like links because the links, people are
it always looks like spam or
Exactly.
some sort of someone's trying to steal my identity or something.
But if you could play a video without a link, you're okay. You're
exactly.
Like, I'm good. Let me just play that thing because I want to watch it. So I think that's really where we get a lot of the better conversion, because you can start speaking to your customers and not making them read. Not that I'm insulting customers that they don't know how to read, but let's face it, like there's a reason why it's very different. By the way, we have picture plus technology too, where the picture changes based on who you are.
Okay.
So you never get the same picture. But imagine like people read in an image than they do in a book. Like you're okay watching a billboard or an advertising sign, especially if it's funny. But if I just put that on a piece of paper and told you to read it, you'd be like, yeah.
I forget what I read, but it was like less than 20% of the population reads at all. And then it was like, the other 50%, like 50% of them read less than like 2 books a year. I don't know. It's just crazy.
It's just the way it is in the
You want to
United
hide the secret to the world, just put it in a book. No one will find it there.
Well, you talked about next year, and for 2025, here's a tip as you keep going for year after year. Who are the homeowners? Year after year, who's the boomers, the baby boomers? They're an aging generation. Who now owns the homes? You think it's the same people that you were advertising to? No. These are people who want videos. The millennials that just a few years ago they were like the laughing stock. Those are the next homeowners now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are encroaching on that because of the increasing amount of money that they're producing, in the United States. You're really going to send them messaging that worked for you in the early 90s, 2000s. No, like you might say, well, 2011, that was just a few years ago. But if you're still marketing like you're in 2011, you've lost the plot, because now it's 2025 in just a few more months.
Yeah.
Years,
this is crazy.
Over a decade has passed. Like it's a new generation of people. And so the videos, I think, is here to stay. And so if you're not leveraging those, and also, for sales training, for rehashes, you're really going to type down and explain to somebody why you're able to go and provide them with a discount or why you're better. No. You watch a 10 to 30 second video. You don't type down like 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously this technology is evolving very rapidly. Obviously no one has a crystal ball where this is going to go. But as you see AI evolving at record speeds, and of course, I'm assuming Channel Auto is going to be at the front lines of innovation and creative ways to use this. I guess, where do you see this going in terms of, this is what AI can do today, but I kind of am foreseeing in the next year or two, this is how AI can really start to make some big changes in the industry in terms of how people market, how people communicate. So what are some of the changes, whether it's stuff you're already working on developing at Channel Auto or just in general that you see coming up in the next couple of years?
The process of contact centers, and for now, like you get a lead, it comes to your CRM, your dialer calls it, you send a text message, and that's kind of like your process, right? And you do that because, one, you want to know if it's a homeowner, and then two, you want to qualify it based on income. I'm very, very proud to say that after the last 18 months of development, we are going to be the first, right? Very much like Salesforce, where lead sources are going to be living inside channel automation. We're going to launch it very soon. And companies like Stone Canyon, BuyerLink, Profitize Parallel, many others will essentially just press a button, and that lead source will be activated from within channel. So you don't have to hunt for lead sources. But more importantly, with our partnerships with People and Faraday, we will be able to tell with a high significant, percentage as soon as it comes in, whether it's a homeowner or not.
Yeah.
So it won't be these awkward conversations anymore. Like, John, just to make sure, are you the homeowner? and people have over the years have come up with language like that. Are you the homeowner? Or like, how old is your home? When did you buy it?
Yeah.
And people are like, it's up to you. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, but you need that because people want homeowners. That eventually will go away, right? And our partnerships allow for you to see it in real time, where it says homeowner versus can be verified or not a homeowner.
Yeah.
So the next step to that would be propensity scores through Faraday and systems like these, where we go, well, their likelihood of buying is, there's a gold lead, and a silver lead, or a platinum lead, or a ABC lead. Now you can go and start saying, well, here's the messaging for those people. These are the ones who start the self-schedule. They don't want the phone calls. And so it will streamline the user experience, because now the homeowner won't get 15 phone calls because I'm at work and 5 or 6 text messages. You basically send me something that says, we know that you've owned this home. This is the place. You're looking to increase it by this value. If you're interested, click this button for a hyper-personalized custom landing page with your name, with your address, how much value your home will have after you put in a bathroom. Right? Wow. We are streamlining this entire thing, and that's just the bomb that we're going to drop in October at QR, where the first half of the work in home services is almost done.
Yep.
Without a human, right? Now you can have humans in there, you must have humans to administer. And so we're building a system where the contact center reps will actually have a chance to level up in their careers in automation through us. Because they'll, just like Salesforce, you'll be interested in automation and AI. And so we'll help business owners leverage that. The other part of it, production, we're doing the exact same thing. The only thing is we're trying to focus on how to touch the customer at specific points so that you can ask for a review, with precision. Because a lot of customers are, well, as soon as a job is done, as long as they didn't have any complaints, send them a review. People don't realize you can't get that person to write a review if you didn't send it at the right time, because timing is so important.
Yeah.
If you send the review when they were like pissed off about something, they'll either ignore that or they'll say, well, you weren't so good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not good.
So that's the next piece in the first quarter that we're going. So, but we feel very strongly that the first half of that, including for recruitment, because it's the same. Recruiting is just marketing. And so we feel very strongly that we will not be concerned about leads. We will be solving for the problem of appointments. And that's, I think, the exciting part about it. So.
Nice. So obviously you've already done obviously made a lot of major waves to the industry in a short period of time, and for a startup, landed some amazing clients and done amazing work. I guess, what would you say is kind of your goal forecasting? I don't want to get too far ahead, but your personal goal here in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years? Are we looking to really dominate this specific field? Are we looking to go international? I know you're translating in multiple languages. Are you looking to do more languages? I guess, where do you see this going for you personally?
I think that
journey?
one of the things that we talked about with Matt as well, is being the evangelist for Grosso within channel automation as our partner. And I feel like the system that you have in training is actually 10 times more valuable in places in Asia, and in Europe and in South America.
That's a goal of mine, by the way. So I do want to.
So we're going there.
Yeah.
I think the top 3 things in the next 3 to 5 years is, one, building out the partnerships and vendors, just like a Salesforce environment, so we could actually compete with Salesforce. Right now it's a dream because Salesforce is the big banana out there. I could say we compete with them, but we really don't. Right? We're just like a tiny, molecule compared to them. Number 2 is dominating space, which I think 2 years at the most, we will be the premier solution, simply because we will provide something where you don't need a Frankenstein of things. And we will eliminate, I would say, the use of efficiency as an excuse to be not effective. Because we will provide the creatives. We're working with advertising agencies, so you can just tap that in there. Business owners, over time, the managers, especially the ones who are not as good at what they're doing, watch out, because with AI and all of this, it will highlight your inadequacies. Now is your time to learn it, to embrace it, to be at the forefront of it. But if you don't, and you just try to suppress it, the reality is the owners will figure that out eventually, right? And so we know within the next 2 years with our partnerships with CRMs, we'll be ingested in there, so it's easier to connect with us. I think number 3 is really just, we're working now within loans, debt consolidation, and tax. So we've actually expanded to different industries other than home services and solar. And so in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm hoping that we can dominate those spaces too. They're very big spaces, but it's just really people. We are working with automobile companies as well now, but everything in the home basically. So if you're dealing with a home for loans and for home services, solar, and cars, that's really the focus of channel automation in terms of our growth, in terms of industries.
That's amazing. Obviously, one thing I've admired about you, just from the first time I had interaction with you to now, is your level of belief in yourself. Your confidence level is really high, and not everybody has that. And obviously, the passion and confidence you have in what it is that you do, that you offer, and that undeniable, like when you're talking about your goals, to you've already made it your mind, this undeniable, this will happen, but I really love that. That just shows that, you were destined to be doing what you're doing. And obviously life steers us in different directions, but when you really find something you love and you call it work, you're truly passionate about it. Obviously people that you talk to can sense that. And I would bet on that's why a lot of people do feel confident moving forward with Channel Auto.
I think, I mean, I do a lot of the still part of the sales team. We're building out a BD team, and I think it's just a matter of, our mission is, like, if I want to just keep making money the way I was making a lot of money, more money than I'm making now. Especially since I invested a lot of it. I got skin in the game because I put it in there, and I refused investors, even though I know the private equity and some of the VCs, because I wanted to truly make it so that it's a product that's going to help the end consumer, the homeowners. I think, to me, that's the fun part. I also think that it's time for our industry to really not be seen as we're in the dark ages, because home services, like, I go to events where it's not home service, and they see, your home service is kind of like people like chuckle a little bit. You're in that industry, and we really should be in the forefront, because we work in people's homes. We build homes, we build where people live and use the bathroom and cook and clean, and your roof. These things, like, that's so intimate. This is your dwelling. And I think it's a matter of, I think it's also because I'm very lucky to have a good team. Like, early on, we had a lot of people after the pandemic who got thrown away by businesses, and many of them were home services, and it was a really good time for me. I was able to talk to those people. They joined our team, and these are people who felt kind of thrown away in a way. So I don't think it's just me. I think it's definitely the team that we have, and we have people who quit high paying positions in home services as VPs or whatever that have joined us. So.
Yeah. Well, I say this on a lot of the podcasts because I'm interviewing some exceptional leaders, but I am a firm believer that every team is a mere reflection of leadership. So that's just a testament to you, obviously giving them a home, treating them, with respect, and they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you develop that type of team as the leader of that team. So
it's and we're remote, so there's there's a lot of people who got tired of having to drive to the office doing the same thing.
Yep.
And what we do is we just give swag to those people so that they actually decorate and make sure their chairs are good, their headsets are nice.
That's just so cool. I mean, being able to recruit and give people opportunities really anywhere. I mean, probably anywhere in the world, especially over time, as you grow and expand.
Yeah. We actually got a grant from LA, the Los Angeles Economic Development, and we're working on that now, where they're going to provide us anywhere between 30 to 50 people over the year to train on automation, because these are people who have been out of the job, or they're just they want to change their career. Some people are like they used to be hairstylists, and now they don't want to be hairstylists anymore. They want to go into like technology. Right, and so I really like the idea of educating and bringing people to be evangelists for something that they just learned as a skill because they earned it, as opposed to like, oh, you're just the expert at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so we're very excited about that too.
Well, obviously amazing information, and of course there's going to be a lot more that we're going to see from Channel Automation over the years. But if people want to take a deeper dive and get a masterful presentation on how Channel Automation can take their business to the next level, what's the best way to reach out to you?
I mean, you can get to our website and channelautomation.com. I mean, there's a video, AI bot in there, or you could just call me.
So you can take it for a test drive.
Yeah, take it, and you can go and look me up on LinkedIn under Vic Sun, and I'm sure you'll see there I've got 6,000 followers, and I would say 90% of them are home services. And just hit me up there, DM me if you want me specifically to kind of go through some of your issues. We're not always the best fit for people, but I would say that doesn't stop me from having a good conversation with somebody and pointing them in the right direction. Yeah. Because I don't like I said, if I wanted to just keep making the money I was making, I would have stayed in my job. I really just enjoy this industry a lot, and kind of contributing to the betterment of it, because this is my home. You know what I mean? This is what made me successful. And I think that's just the best way to do it. And of course, go to Grosso if you have rehash problems. This is something that's huge for 2025. You should connect with them. So. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of work with Channel Automation to really tackle that headline issue right there, rehash. So definitely stay tuned on new announcements as that comes up. So I just want to congratulate you once again on all your success, and obviously thank you for literally traveling across the country to be here in person. So again, you heard it from Vic Sun. We'll put the information on the screen, but reach out to Channel Auto, take their product for a test drive, and I definitely recommend. I've done a few presentations with Vic where he's going through this, and it'll absolutely blow your mind, the capabilities of this stuff, and it's only going to continue to get better year after year. And we appreciate Vic sharing literally that huge bombshell announcement here first. Sorry, QR, but it's okay. It's first come, first serve. So thank you very much, and hopefully you took a lot of notes on this Profits for Sanity podcast. Again, we want to make sure we're truly bringing on what we deem to be the brightest, most talented individuals in this field, and I couldn't think of anyone more knowledgeable about AI. So I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I know the most valuable thing you have is your time, and there's a lot of shows you could be watching, but hopefully you're taking away valuable insights each and every time you tune in. So stay tuned for future episodes. We're going to continue to bring on some industry titans that are going to show you how to grow and scale a more profitable business. But to sign this off, I'm just going to leave it here. As always, volume is for vanity and profit is for sanity.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one.